Please subscribe my channel. In this video, the embryology third video, we will discuss about the development of brain and nervous system. So let's begin to understand from here is the basically is the neural formation, the neurulation. We will discuss in this manner. So let's begin to understand this is the basically the neural plate formation when so the nervous system will begin into the neurulation. So that is why it is known as neurulation and neural formation. So this is basically here is you can see this is the neural plate, neural groove formation and neural fold formation of the ectoderm. So in this way the ectoderm will folding to give rise and inside is the notochord black color showing in the figure. While this is the somoid, this is the mesoderm somoid. So after this several time passing, the neural groove formation will be occur more, and in this way the neural groove will be progress. And after the progressing the neural groove here is you can see this is the ventral view of the embryo, which that is showing after the gastrulation to neurulation formation due to the neural groove formation. So this is the neural groove formation and inside is the mesoderm is here and this is the notochord. So in this way the neural crest formation which that neural crest will invaginate inside and the changes of the cell will possible to move inside and invagination to form after the neural fold to form inside is the neural crust will come together to combine. So in this way here is the anterior neural pore and posterior neural pore are present, and let's begin to understand with the cross section here. The side is the left, basically the left side is not cross but whole embryo, but the right side showing the cross section of the embryo. So this is here is the neural fold will increase and progress and fusion of new neural fold, and in this way the neural crust come together, and in this way the neural tube formation inside is the yellow color. So the somoid and notochord is respectively. So in this way here you can see this is the formation, the progression, and in this way the embryo will become a left and right hemisphere formation as a brain. This is the precursor of brain, and on the other hand those somoids is here, and this is the basically somoid will develop the spinal cord. So that is why the mesoderm is very important for formation of the spinal cord. So let's begin to understand after the clear of the neural fold which that combine together to form a ectoderm will be separate while the neural crust will be separate, as well as the neural crust will be separate, but the folding will complete will to form a neural tube. This neural tube is inside the yellow color is looking like this and the notochord below the neural tube. Anyhow, so let's begin to understand. The neural crust will develop the nervous system, the autonomic ganglion, the autonomic ganglion cell, as well as the other cell which that is related to the nervous system as well as the other part. So let's begin to understand the dorsal root of ganglion cells, cranial nerves and sensory nerves will be formed. Dorsal root of ganglion means when spinal cord will receive the signal from the dorsal root of ganglion. So let's begin to understand again this. This is the autonomic ganglion cell. This autonomic ganglion cell is the specialized and not further divide and proliferate. While in this case here is the other cell which that is the precursor of the dorsal root of ganglion will develop into the dorsal root of ganglion. This is the precursor. So that is why it is the basically is known as the stem cell and cranial nerve sensory cells. So the basically the neural crust contain a stem cell. So the rapidly differentiation and a modification and differentiation will occur to divide and to specialized cell formation. For example, adrenal medullary cell. Adrenal medullary cell is used for the epinephrine and norepinephrine release due to the sympathetic nervous system activation. While the Schwann cell is also produced, Schwann cell is basically used for the increasing of the excitation of the neuron, and melanocyte is also produced. Melanocyte is important for the skin darkening. So let's begin to understand the development of brain here. This is the lateral view of 3 to 4 week embryo. This will be separate, the blue color showing the prosencephalon, while the pink color shows the mesencephalon, while the rhombencephalon show the green color, light green color I am showing in this figure. So let's begin to understand with the here is the three primary brain vesicle formation. So how it's possible? Three primary brain vesicle form. This is the prosencephalon. This is the precursor of forebrain, and mesencephalon. That's mesencephalon is the precursor of midbrain, and rhombencephalon, which that is the precursor of hindbrain. So the forebrain is the basically the three part of brain we will discuss later in this video. So remember. So after this, the prosencephalon or forebrain will divide into the two ventricle. So in this way, the five secondary brain vesicle form from the three primary brain vesicle. So here you can see this is I am drawing again after the 5-week embryo from the 4-week embryo. So the 5-week embryo later that developed in the form of telencephalon and diencephalon, which that is come from the prosencephalon, the forebrain. So this is basically the forebrain, while the midbrain mesencephalon, which that is developed the mesencephalon only. While on the other hand, the rhombencephalon, which that is rhombencephalon, produce the metencephalon and myelencephalon, which that is basically here is you can understand as well. So this is the 5 secondary brain vesicle formation in the 5-week embryo. So this is the 3 to 4 week embryo will convert to the 5-week embryo. So let's begin to understand the 5 secondary vesicle and the adult derivatives. Also we will learn about the ventricular cavities which that develop in the brain. Ventricular cavity contain cerebrospinal fluid which that nourish the nervous system as well as the shock absorptivity. So the fluid field. So this is the telencephalon, diencephalon, mesencephalon, and metencephalon, and myelencephalon, as well as spinal cord formation. This is the 5 secondary vesicle. So after this, the telencephalon, which that develop the adult derivatives, the ventricular valves. The ventricular valves develop from the telencephalon and cerebral hemisphere. Cerebral hemisphere mean the two. In this way, the left and right is used for the cognition and learning behavior. So on the other hand, here is the diencephalon will develop the epithalamus, thalamus, hypothalamus, and subthalamus. So the epithalamus mean the above of the thalamus, and hypothalamus mean the below of the thalamus, and thalamus is the central relay for the coordination. So the subthalamus here, and this is the pons and cerebellum will develop from the metencephalon, not from the mesencephalon. So don't mix it. And the myelencephalon will develop the medulla. So what is the different part of the brain we will discuss in later in this video. So first of all, we should need to understand the ventricular cavities. The two lateral ventricles will develop, and here is the diencephalon will develop the third ventricle, and the mesencephalon will develop the aqueduct and the upper part of fourth ventricle and lower part of fourth ventricle. So let's begin to understand with the ventricles of the brain. So that is very important. You should need to understand during the adult. So this is the adult brain. After this complete development, the embryo will convert into the fetus. So this is the basically the ventricle of the brain. So this is the front and lateral view. So in this way here you can see this is the lateral ventricle, and this is the third ventricle. Third ventricle is here. So this is the third ventricle, and this is the anterior horn. This is the basically the cerebral aqueduct lateral aperture. So in this way, the showing in the figure which that is related to the development, and the central canal of spinal cord is here. And on the other hand, there are a lot of things which that is the posterior horn and inferior horn and the anterior horn, which that is developed also from the also develop from the mesencephalon and the telencephalon and diencephalon. The third ventricle developed from the diencephalon. So remember. So this is the lateral aperture of fourth ventricle, which that is the two, the pair form. So let's begin to understand the adult derivatives, which that is basically here is I am drawing the brain here, and here you can see this is a different part which that is coloring. So this coloring is related to the embryo which contain that nervous system. So in this way, here is the cerebrum. Cerebrum developed from the telencephalon, so the cerebral hemisphere formation too. So that was the frontal view, and this is the sagittal view. And in this way, here is the basically the cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus, which that is developed from the diencephalon. So remember. So important thing you should need to understand the forebrain, which that is developed. The prosencephalon will develop the forebrain from the prosencephalon, and you can understand. And this is the midbrain, which that is produced the midbrain, which that is produced mesencephalon, and this mesencephalon will develop the upper part of both ventricle, etc. So in this way, here you can see this is the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, which that is developed from the midbrain. So the midbrain means the mesencephalon. So in this way, here you can understand the corpus callosum will develop, and the limbic system, which that contains thalamus, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. And this is the mesencephalon will develop midbrain, and here is the rhombencephalon will develop the hindbrain, and the prosencephalon will develop the forebrain. So that is the part of the brain you should need to understand. So thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Next video, the embryology fourth video, we will discuss in the heart